Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
This world contains two different kinds of people, those who believe and trust in the Lord and those who don't. Jeremiah 17:5-8 contrasts those two kinds of people. It says, "Cursed is the man who trusts in man and makes flesh his strength, whose heart departs from the Lord, for he shall be like a shrub in the desert, and shall not see when the good comes, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land which is not inhabited. Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord, and whose hope is in the Lord. For he shall be like a tree planted by the waters, which spreads out its roots by the river, and will not fear when heat comes, but its leaf will be green, and will not be anxious in the year of drought, nor will cease from yielding fruit." It's obvious which of these two plants we want to be. But I doubt the shrub woke up one morning and decided to go plant itself in the desert. How did it get there? Quite a few plants in the desert have seeds that travel in the wind. That reminds me of Ephesians 4:14, where Paul tells us that we should no longer be tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine. When we just listen to things that sound good to us or follow our own whims and desires, that's where we can end up in a desert, like the passage pictures. It says this type of person trusts in man and makes flesh his arm. In other words, they trust in human strength. For those Jeremiah wrote this to, Judah, they'd been trusting in themselves and in Egypt and other countries to help them, instead of turning to the Lord. And they were about to find themselves in a desert situation. Their hearts had departed from the Lord. That makes me think of many people today whose hearts are far from God. They may be wealthy and seem successful, but if you look at their personal life, they might be on their third marriage, and their kids aren't speaking to them, and they're incredibly unhappy. Their life is truly a wasteland. Or they may just be working their way through life thinking they can do it on their own. When something comes up, they think, "Oh, I can handle it," and never consult the Lord. I think many of us have been guilty of doing that. If we keep it up, we'll realize it's unsustainable because we can't handle everything that comes our way. We need the Lord in every aspect of our lives. What about people who rely on other people to get them out of tough situations, or money, or the government, or their own magnetic personality? None of those things lead to the abundant life of verses 7 and 8. They all lead to the dry, withered, worthless life of verses 5 and 6. And there's nothing worse than ending your life and realizing everything you've accomplished is wood, hay, and stubble, and only worthy to be burned in the fire. As Proverbs 28:26 says, "He who trusts in his own heart is a fool." And as Jesus said in John 15:5 and 6, "I am the vine, and you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, bears much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is cast out as a branch and is withered. And they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned." Living as a parched bush in the wastelands sounds pretty miserable, doesn't it? Then we need to deliberately trust in God instead of man and keep our hearts close to the Lord. We'll talk more about the blessed man tomorrow, but for now, do you feel like a struggling bush in a desert? What steps can you take to turn your heart toward God and put your trust fully in Him?
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes at our website, which you can find in the description below. Thanks for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.